Hi guys, my name is Steven and welcome to video number 10 in this new video series where I'm building a login registration system using CodeIgniter. So what I'll be doing in this video is I'm going to what we've done so far is we've been able to successfully validate our sign up form. So now what we want to do is I can delete this. This is the email that I'll be sending it to eventually. But what happens once the form validation has run? That'll be the main topic for this video. But there's a couple more things I want to do first with the actual validation. Like for one, I want to describe this is unique function a little bit better. You can see right now it checks whatever the email that I entered in with the users table and the email field in that. Now right now, hello@welcome.com should still be entered from when we built our sign up version or sign up form or login form, sorry. So now if I try and sign up with the same email address that's already registered, I should get an error. It says that the email field must contain a unique value. Now this is great. That means that it's successfully checking, and if we want to check that, we can actually go into our users table and then user tutorial. Yeah. Okay, so we will go into browse our users table, and you can see here it's checking the users table, the email field, and right now we only have one entry, and that one entry just so happens to be hello@welcome.com. So therefore we can't sign up with it again. However, this message right here, the email field must contain a unique value, that doesn't make a lot of sense to the end user. So what we can do actually is we could rename this the same way that we renamed those callback up here, the callback message. I believe that was right. Validate credentials. Yeah, oh well, I'm not worried about it. I'll just show you what I mean. We can set the message, the error message for the isUnique function or rule by going this form underscore validation set message. And this takes two parameters. The first is the actual function that we want to, in this case, override the message for, and then the second part is the actual message. So that email address already exists. Okay, so now if I save this and run it and try this again, password, that email address already exists because it had a message for the isUnique function, but we overrode it by doing this. Yeah, so that's how the isUnique function works. The second thing I want to do is just get rid of this "you shall not pass" line if they don't pass, because we don't actually need that. And we also don't need this either because we're about to write what actually happens once the validation is successful. And in short, essentially there's a couple things we want to do. We want to generate a random key, and I'll explain why in a second. We want to send an email to the user, and that will actually have a link to a registration form contained with the key appended onto it, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second. And then we actually want to add them to the temp database. Okay, so let's do it. We'll generate a random key by I'm sure you're familiar with this. We go key equals MD5, so we're going to encrypt whatever is inside this, or MD5 hash it, sorry. And then essentially all we need to do is a function called unique ID, and that's actually, this will generate a random ID number, and then we're going to MD5 hash that. So it creates a pretty, it's not a super high security feature. This by far is not the best way to do it, but for the purposes of this video tutorial, it'll do. Essentially, it's just ensuring that anyone who signs up won't have the same unique key. And there's obviously other ways we could check that, but we're not going to in this video. This is just going to be good enough. The next thing we want to do is load just load the email library. So we'll go this load library email. And now we can start actually fulfilling some of these functions that the email library requires when it's been called. So we can go, we'll set the from. So we'll set this email from. Now this will take two parameters. The first one will be like me at mywebsite.com or whatever your website is. Mywebsite.com. And the second is your actual name. So for me, I'll just put Steven. The next thing is this email to, I believe. Yeah. So in this case, we actually want to send the email to them. So we can actually grab that email, the email address that they specified in the form, which we've already actually validated is a valid email address. We can go this input post email. So it'll send it to them. Next we can do the subject. I'll just copy this line. And then we just specify a string in here of the subject of the email. So in this case it'd be confirm your account. Perfect. And lastly, we want to do the message. So before I actually send the message, I want to actually create a message variable and fill it up. So the message is going to be an HTML message, and so which means the content of the email will actually be HTML format. And I'm pretty sure that the email library, when it's loaded automatically, what it'll do is it'll configure it to send the message as plain text. So we actually, on this topic, we need to actually change how the email library is configured, and we can do that by passing an array as the second parameter when we load the email library with some configuration options. So in this case, we just specify the mail type. We set that to HTML. By default, this is set to text, and you can find that on the CodeIgniter user guide on their website. However, we want this to be HTML so that we can send A tags, more specifically a link containing this specific key that we just created. So we'll just give them a nice little P tag message. Thank you for signing up or something like that. Close the P tag. I'll go message dot equals. So I'll just append or prepend this to whatever I'm about to type. Then we'll create another P tag, and an A tag inside of that. href equals. I'll just close the A tag because I always forget to close it afterwards. So click here to confirm your account. Okay, and now in here, I want to break open with double quotes again and depend on the base URL, which is a function of the URL helper that I auto-loaded at the beginning of the series. And then after that, after this double quote, I want to specify another, the main controller, and then say, we can call this function register user or something like that. Register _ user. Okay, and then lastly, we want to actually pass the key. So this is going to be a link back to our website, because this base URL will actually be, I'm sending them a link back to my website, the main controller, the register function, which we're about to write, and we're going to be passing in this third segment of the URI, and it'll be the key. So just explaining what's actually going to be going on here. They'll get an email containing a link, right? And they'll click on the link. That link will take us back to our website, to the register user function, and then it's going to receive a parameter of this key. Then we can actually grab that key and compare it to the temp users table in the database. And then if we can find it, then we'll actually take them from that temp users, we'll grab all their information out of there, and we'll put it into the permanent users. And then once they're in the permanent users, then we'll actually remove all their old data from the temp users database. So I think that's it for the message. We can actually go ahead and send the message now. This email message, and then we'll just pass in the message variable that we just created. Perfect. Okay, now we can try and send the email. So we'll go this email send. And why don't we actually check, and we'll say if email send, then echo the email has been sent. Else failed. Okay, let's try it out. So I'll just refresh this and we'll start from scratch. We'll say PHP login tut at gmail.com. Password is password. And we'll click sign up. The email has been sent. Okay, so I'm already logged in over here. And you can see we've got our email, confirm your account. Thank you for signing up. Click here to confirm your account. So I'll click it, and there we have, we're actually going to the website, main register user, and then this unique validation key that was randomly generated. So every single user that signs up through our website will have a different validation key. And that's the point of this, so that we can actually grab this key from in the register user function that we're about to create, and we can compare it to the temp users database. So I think I went a little bit over time on this video. I'm going to continue by adding, as well as sending them an email. I want to add them to the temp users database. So we'll do that in the next video. Thanks for watching.